These are two battling heavyweights.
I generally didn't stop unless I was forced to stop. And in junior, it started in junior. I mean, I hurt some kids, and that's because they couldn't stop me. A teammate got into a fight, and I was on the ice. I generally always got into one. I shouldn't say always, but I always felt that if there's a fight already going on over there and I get into one, linesman can't be over there and over here at the same time. So it's going to give either I'm in trouble or I've got
him in trouble.
And I felt comfortable enough that I always could handle myself. Never, get the worst end of a real bad beating.
John Wensink, a massive afro, a thick Fu Manchu mustache, eyes burning like a man with nothing left to lose. In the 1970s, this man turned every NHL rink into a war zone. Some called him insane, but perhaps no one described him better than his own teammate Jay Miller, who said in 2014, "It was very comforting to look down the bench and see John Wensink, because you knew he always had your back." So just how frightening was John Wensink? Today, the legends will tell you. May 21st, 1978, Boston Garden, Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. The Boston Bruins against their ultimate rivals, the Montreal Canadiens. Right from the opening puck drop, the ice turned into an absolute war zone. Before Wensink even engaged, his teammate Stan Jonathan, despite giving up significant size, unleashed a ferocious left-handed combination that broke the nose of Montreal's massive defenseman, Pierre Bouchard. When Bouchard dropped to the ice, the Boston crowd went into an absolute frenzy, and John Wensink was just getting started. He locked his eyes on Gilles Lupien, a towering Montreal defenseman standing 6'6". The size disadvantage meant nothing to Wensink. He aggressively grabbed Lupien's jersey, overpowering the Montreal giant and raining down heavy punches until Lupien was slammed onto the ice. It was a total psychological shattering of the Canadiens' physical presence on Boston's home ice. Years later, legendary Bruins head coach Don Cherry recalled the sheer intensity of that historic playoff series. There was a real, raw hatred between these two teams. Everybody realized that the Stanley Cup was right there, and they fought for everything they had. December 1st, 1977, Boston Garden. The Boston Bruins versus the Minnesota North Stars. It was already a brutal night, but what happened in the third period would go down as one of the most iconic moments in NHL history. After a ferocious fight in which Wensink completely dismantled Minnesota enforcer Alex Pyrus, the adrenaline coursing through his veins reached a breaking point. Instead of skating directly to the penalty box as every player before him had done, Wensink slowly glided toward the Minnesota bench. In front of thousands of screaming fans, he raised both arms, waved his hands with pure defiance, and challenged every single player on the opposing bench to come out and fight him. The most terrifying part? Not one Minnesota North Stars player stood up. One man had just psychologically defeated an entire team without throwing a single additional punch. Don Cherry, his coach at the time, recalled the moment with both pride and amusement at a tribute event in 2013. He challenged the whole bench, and it cost me a $2,000 fine from the league. Even decades later, the moment continued to echo through the Bruins locker room. In the 2025 to 2026 season, young Boston forward Trent Frederick admitted, "Saturday night, watching old footage of those lunch pail guys and seeing Wensink challenge the whole Minnesota bench right from the start, I think that is why opponents do not want to mess with me." Having watched this far, what do you think about Wensink? Please like the video and subscribe to the channel to support me. Stay tuned for the fascinating story coming up next. On November 4th, 1978, the Boston Bruins faced the Philadelphia Flyers, a team so infamous for its brutal style of play that the entire hockey world had given them the nickname the Broad Street Bullies. Going into that game, no team in NHL history had built a more feared reputation for physical intimidation than Philadelphia. It was exactly the kind of opponent John Wensink lived for. During the game, Wensink delivered a powerful body check that sent Flyers defenseman Ben Wilson, one of the most dangerous and aggressive young enforcers in the league, crashing hard into the boards. Wilson did not let it go. He dropped the puck, turned around, and came straight at Wensink looking for a fight. Both men threw down their sticks and stripped off their gloves. What followed was a pure heavyweight exchange. No clinching, no holding, just two men throwing direct punches at each other's face without any attempt to defend. Wensink ended it with a left-hand hook that rose above Wilson's guard and put him flat on the ice. The television broadcaster called it live. Young Ben Wilson of the Flyers will not back down from anyone. He went straight at Wensink and challenged him. It was a great fight, both throwing powerful punches, but that final left hand from Wensink put Wilson completely down on the ice. Wilson later devoted an entire chapter of his autobiography, Gloves Off, to his battles with Wensink, acknowledging him as one of the most formidable opponents he ever faced. On November 20th, 1977, Boston Garden witnessed one of the strangest and most brutal fights in NHL history when the Boston Bruins hosted the Chicago Blackhawks. Wensink's opponent that night was Bob Kelly, a notorious enforcer known for his savage style of play, and the one man in the entire league who could match Wensink's signature look, a massive, untamed afro. When these two giants collided and began trading punches, the fight quickly turned into something no one had ever seen before on a hockey rink. Because both men wore their hair long and thick, each grabbed a fistful of the other's afro with one hand to lock his opponent in place, while the other hand drove hard punches directly into his opponent's face. The sight of two powerfully built men pulling each other's hair and battering each other in the middle of an NHL ice surface was at once grotesque and utterly lawless, a display of two men who had abandoned every limit. The television broadcaster covering the game captured the chaos live. Bob Kelly and Wensink are pulling each other's hair. This is certainly a big problem, and there could be serious penalties handed down since hair pulling is completely banned in competition. They are two heavyweights who are genuinely tearing each other apart. In the end, Wensink's superior strength wore Kelly down and put him on the ice before the linesman stepped in to separate them. On November 23, 1978, the Buffalo Sabres came to Boston Garden for what should have been an ordinary regular season game. For one player, it became the most terrifying night of his life. Larry Playfair was making his NHL debut that evening, a towering rookie standing 6'4" and weighing 200 pounds, with an impressive record of physical play in the junior leagues. In his very first shift as a professional, Playfair was paired on defense with veteran Jerry King Kong Korab, facing a line featuring Peter McNabb, Terry O'Reilly, and John Wensink. When the puck moved into the corner, Playfair picked it up and pulled off a move that successfully fooled O'Reilly. The rookie felt a surge of confidence, and then every light in the arena went out. Wensink had come charging from the opposite side of the ice like a runaway truck and drove his shoulder directly into the center of Playfair's chest. The impact dropped Playfair unconscious to the ice. He was carried off on a stretcher and rushed to Massachusetts General Hospital. That night, his internal bleeding worsened. He collapsed in the hospital hallway and underwent emergency surgery to remove a ruptured spleen. Playfair later recalled in his memoir, Slapshot Diaries, "Just as I was feeling proud that I had beaten Terry O'Reilly, someone turned off all the lights. Wensink came flying from the other side and drove his shoulder straight into my chest. My first NHL shift lasted 8 seconds. That night, I nearly bled to death." John Wensink played 403 regular season games in the NHL, scored 70 goals, and accumulated 842 penalty minutes. In the 1978 to 1979 season alone, he put up 28 goals and 46 points, numbers most pure enforcers could never dream of. In a single game against the Pittsburgh Penguins on October 20th, 1981, he set an extraordinary record with 35 penalty minutes in one night. In 2023, he was honored as one of the 100 greatest Boston Bruins of all time. Defenseman Robert Picard said in 1989, John Wensink was genuinely the most unhinged man I ever faced on the ice. What do you think about him? Like the video and subscribe to the channel to support us. Thank you so much.